Ni hao, my dear friends at BitAuto in China. Today I'm close to Stuttgart in the heartland of Porsche, driving the brand new 718 Cayman for you. Okay, Porsche is saying it's a brand new car, but it's looking quite similar to the one you already know. But since Porsche has changed the engine, cut 2 cylinders and built in a new 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, that's more change than in many other model years. So it's quite fair to talk about a brand new car. And if you like to know how that feels, just follow me on my test drive and I will tell you in a minute. Time of the 6-cylinder engine for the Cayman is gone now. When the new model is called 718 Cayman, it stands for a new generation of 4-cylinder engines, which are not naturally aspirated anymore, but turbocharged. The base model now has a 2-liter engine with 300 horsepower, and the Cayman S now runs with a 2.5-liter engine with 350 horsepower. So you got less displacement and more power with the new engines. And the main thing, and that is the reason why Porsche did it, you got way lower consumption, at least in the regular driving cycle. There are people who say driving a Porsche with a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine is like having sex with your socks on, because it's not as emotional, not as powerful as you know it from the naturally aspirated 6-cylinder. On the one hand, that's true, and you really have to change your mind setup and your feelings while driving that car. But on the other hand, it is still so sporty and so aggressive that it's really fun to drive. And I would say it's better to have sex with your socks on than to have no sex at all. As you are used to in every Porsche, also in the 718 Cayman, the ignition is left of the steering wheel. And as long as that's the case, it's still a typical Porsche. Takes a little more than 4 seconds to get the new Cayman up to 100 kilometers per hour. Do you want to know how that feels? I'll show you. 71, 85, more than 100 kilometers per hour now. Even if the test car is equipped with a manual gearbox with 6 gears, you can use the 3rd gear something like an automatic gear, because torque is so big that you can easily accelerate out of the 3rd gear in whatever situation you are. And it goes up to, revs up to 5,000, 6,000 turns easily. Even on wet roads, the 718 Cayman behaves very brave and very calm. So it's hard to get it beyond its limits. And if you go beyond the limits, the electronics will kick in and will keep him in line. So it's not a really risky driving, as long as you stay below that really sharp point when it's getting very dangerous. The main styling changes of the 718 are to be seen in the front, because you got that sharp, crisp line along the fender, and you can order LED headlights now as well. So you can easily recognize the new model even if it's dark outside. They have not changed very much of the styling of the 718 Cayman, but there was no need to, because it's still a beautiful mid-engine sports car with a long front, with a short back and a low roofline. The only thing they really changed was this crisp line along the fender, which is now very sharp and very precise. When Porsche worked on the Cayman, they not only changed the engine and upgraded the design, they also changed something in the interior, especially here in the center console, where they put in the big touchscreen, which is way brighter, way bigger and way easier to handle than in the previous model. You can use the buttons and then you can zoom like you do on an iPad. You can easily change the different menu settings, and if you go to for example, the radio. It is something like you know from your iPad. It's very easy, very convenient. That's really modern now. Even if the Cayman is the smallest sports car in the Porsche lineup, it is still big enough for two. Like in every Porsche, the main trunk at the 718 Cayman is in the front. And it's so big now that you can easily put one or two cabin-sized luggage trolleys in the front compartment. And if that's not enough, there's also space for the luggage in the back over the engine compartment. Okay folks, thank you for joining me on my first test drive with the Porsche 718 Cayman. Even with 2 cylinders less than before, it's still the most aggressive and the most fun to drive sports car in its segment. You can't compare it with an Audi TT or with a Mercedes SLK. You can only compare it with a Jaguar F-Type, but that's more expensive. So, in my opinion, Porsche did a quite clever job to make the car safe for the future with the 4 cylinders for future emission standards and still keeping the fun to drive on a very high level.